Okay, I don't know if you all hate or love the intro that
I
I
love
got.
it. I love that the music that you picked.
Yeah, that's some cool ass music.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's the free music that StreamYard allows us to use without having to pay somebody else. So
I say keep it.
That's some cool ass music. I like that.
Yeah.
How y'all doing tonight?
Great.
Doing
How are
good.
you?
Listen, I'm excited that this is our official first episode of Foreplay Podcast. Woo! I feel like we need like a little bit of some what's the little sound effects with people like cheering and rooting, right? So if you all haven't heard about us, we did a couple shows on Instagram over the past 3 months. And now we said, hey, let's officially create a podcast and have it stream on YouTube. And then we'll try to bring it over to Instagram. But sometimes you don't know, Instagram messes up. So we're definitely here on YouTube. I'm Lamont White. I go by the Gay Dating Coach because I'm a matchmaker and dating coach for gay men in the United States. I'll let my other co-hosts go ahead and introduce themselves as well.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Josh Noblet. I am a marriage and family therapist and sex therapist. I work mostly with gay men here in Atlanta, and I'm excited to be here. I count those first two. Those were some pretty epic episodes that we did. We may need, if we can't repost them on the channel, we should just redo those whole episodes all over again because I think there's actually more to be said on those topics. We did a whole episode on. Are we allowed to say those words on this platform or?
Yes, you can. Yes, okay. yes.
Yeah. So we did the first episode, my favorite, all things dicks, where we talked about eggplant. You know, we on Instagram we get sent to Instagram jail if you say certain words. So we used eggplant, and then the second episode was all things bottoms. And except we talked about cakes and peaches, if you will. So I think those are some great topics. We got a lot of great feedback, really wide reach in terms of the different accounts that we were able to interact with. So I think we need to keep those things going. But yeah, what about you, Aaron?
Hey, thank you guys for inviting me back. No, my name is Aaron Kimball. I am a licensed therapist, and my specialty is sex therapist. See a ton of couples, including LGBTQ plus couples, as well as trans couples most recently. So loving what I do. I enjoy the music. So great. And Lamont, Josh, Jeremiah, would love for us to have some type of launch party because I think this is kick ass. I can say ass, right?
You can say whatever you would like, sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah, for sure. So, hi guys, everyone. I'm Jeremiah Robinson. I'm a PA here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm at Elysium Primary Care. My specialty is HIV and LGBTQ healthcare. Most of my patients fall in that realm. I would say 98% of my patients are men who have sex with men. So I'm here hopefully to offer some insight and a little bit of wisdom, hopefully.
Absolutely love it. Listen, if you all are watching, we definitely would like you all to click the like button. It helps with the algorithm. Also, you can say hello to us in the comment section. If you're watching, I think we have about 20 people on YouTube watching and about 37 on Instagram. So definitely click the like button, say hello to us. And most importantly, go ahead and share the video so that other people might have a chance to see our video and our conversation, right?
And over the course of our conversation, if you have a comment or a question that you'd like for us to engage with, please type that in. We'll be happy to engage because we're really, we're having a conversation amongst ourselves, but we're really facilitating a larger conversation in the community. So join in with us. We'd love to hear from you.
So Josh, kick us off and tell us why we decided to have this podcast. Like, is it just to shoot the breeze or what? What is it?
I mean, we of course want to shoot the breeze, but I think this particular group of people these are some awesome guys, and I'm excited to I know each of them personally, and I was excited that when everybody said yes to convening some of these conversations around sexuality, around relationships, around gay life, queer life, and just kind of our personal experiences, but also our professional lens by which we might appraise a situation. We got 2 sex therapists, we got a matchmaker and a social worker and a physician, a PA, all with, we work mostly with men who have sex with men, gay, queer men, etc. So this is a forum for us. And I thought it was a good conversation. Again, we have a lot of different backgrounds that we bring to the table as well. And so it's just and everybody's got a nice sense of humor. We're all kind of cute, so I don't know. I thought it was a good combination of folks. And I appreciate everybody saying yes. So I'm excited about our conversation tonight. Our first conversation, as we mentioned, was on all things related to topping, dicks, etc. Second was all things related to bottoming. And then our conversation tonight is about app culture. I mean, that is definitely something that deserves to be talked about a lot more. Most of us in the community have dabbled in the apps, at least at some point, some of us more than others. And it stirs up some intense feelings, I think, when interacting with somebody, it can at least. So anyway, I'd like for us to engage that conversation tonight. And we've got some questions to kind of get us started off. Do we have anything else?
I'm looking forward to the conversation because a couple of weeks ago, you all may not know, but we went out to dinner, had drinks, had food, and really had a good opportunity just to get to know each other. And I think we come from very, very, very different backgrounds. And I would love to, I guess through this journey, learn more about you all. And also my goal really is just to learn, grow. I feel like if you are around people who have different views, different belief systems, that it can only make you a better person, whether you disagree or you agree or not.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
What did y'all do this past weekend before we get started? Or who did you all do this past weekend?
So this past weekend, I was actually up in Ellijay, which is about an hour and a half north of Georgia. My the doctor I work with brought all of us up, all the workers in our clinic, and we did like a work retreat. So it was amazing. He brought in a chef for us, and we had customer service workshops. We did an Enneagram personality test workshop, which you've never done your Enneagram. That was a really cool way to learn about your coworkers and how type 2 may interact with type 4 and how to better communicate with those people. So I thought it was very helpful, and it was a good bonding experience for my coworkers and I. So that's what I did.
What are you on the Enneagram, Jeremiah?
I'm a very strong 2, which is a helper.
That's
and a giver.
Yeah. Wow.
What about you?
Turn into an unredeemed 8 when pissed off, and that is a scary sight.
Exactly, which I didn't know all of the ins and outs, but and it was just funny recently how I saw that sort of go into action, where I tend to be, I'm always, how can I help? How can I help? But if you piss me off, I'm like way more assertive, which is not how I typically am. So it's interesting to see that.
Yeah.
I need to see if I can take that. I've never taken that assessment or inventory.
Yeah.
It goes back like 2,000 years. I mean, it's an ancient, has its origins in sort of ancient philosophy, and it's good stuff. What about you guys? What did y'all do this weekend?
So interestingly enough, I had drinks and conversations with 2 close friends Friday night. My goodness, we started at 7:30 and we didn't finish until 12:30. So, oh man, talked about everything. It was a great conversation.
Nice. Drinks are always good. My husband, unfortunately, tried to kill me this weekend. Yes. So this will probably be the 3rd summer we're in this house. And I've been complaining about wanting to redo the backyard, like do some gardening and planting back there. So we literally spent 12 hours in the backyard pulling weeds. I had to go buy a tiller, like a little tiller, Yes, yeah. Had to get like pine needles. I'm growing these elephant ears. We had to dump stuff. 12 hours. I had a Charlie horse in both of my hands. Never had that happen before. Like what? Yeah. So I almost died this weekend, but I survived. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad your delicate hands didn't have to.
They are delicate. I'm on a computer all day. I don't do manual labor.
Yeah. I was up in Asheville, North Carolina. I have family up there, but also it was the 75th anniversary of the summer camp that I worked at and also went to as a kid. And I got to see all these folks that knew me way back during that magical time of high school, college, grad school. And just the summer camp is awesome. And so anyway, yeah, so let's jump right into some of our questions. And again, we put a few questions together, kind of get us started. Again, we'd love to hear from all of you all. And again, we're focusing on app culture tonight. So our first question that I'd like to kind of just get us started is, what are the benefits of being on the apps and what are some of the limitations or disadvantages of being on the apps? And just feel free to jump in, whoever wants to get us started off.
I think a benefit that just comes right off is all of a sudden you've expanded your dating pool. I mean, I think about, our parents' generation when they literally dated the person from their church or their high school or down the street. And now we have this sort of global marketplace for dating. You can put your pin in, Berlin, Germany, if you wanted. I mean, that's a long distance, but I think it's kind of given people this more options, but also we could talk about how more options is not necessarily a great thing. People get really picky.
Yeah. That reminds me, Lamont, one of the things when I know you do a lot more of the speed dating events than I have done, but some of the ones that we've collaborated on where the fewer people that are present, there's more matches that people that match. Whereas if there's more people, then, a lot fewer matches. And I wonder if this is the same thing, in terms of, Jeremiah, to your point, like, yeah, you open up this whole world, but then there's always a new shiny thing signing on, or there's always the next best thing that's constantly coming on. And, we end up having 45 conversations going at the same time. And how much in depth can you really get having 45 conversations all at the same time? It's just a lot. So that's both, kind of what you said, sort of a benefit, but also a limitation. What are y'all's thoughts?
There's a study, to your point, to Jeremiah and Josh, like that for dating apps, after you look at the 7th profile, you get fatigued. Like after you swipe left, right, you're like, ugh. Like, so you usually like just zone through the rest of their profiles. Like, even though the guys might be really quality, you get too tired because you keep looking at dating profiles. So if there's too much to look at, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I think a good benefit is that it expands your network. Like, and people, I always say like Atlanta is a great city to date in, and so is New York, so is DC, LA, San Francisco, because there are a lot of gay men there. But what if you live in Jackson, Mississippi, or Columbus, Ohio? How are you going to meet other gay men? It's a dating app because you can actually find a location where other gay men who are looking either for friends, hookups, or dating on the apps. So I think it's a really good benefit.
Yeah, I agree. So, but I'm curious, can we go back to Jeremiah saying that he put his pin in Berlin, Germany? And if you did, I would love to hear the stories. No, seriously. No, seriously.
I know there's some stories over there.
Exactly. When we think about one of the benefits of obviously having a dating app is that, guys, it's instant. Like we can log on, after work and be like, hey, what are you doing? Would you like to come over? So it's instant. It's almost microwave, if you will. You know what I mean?
And it is very much like shopping, especially like Lamont, what you said, if you're either swiped or clicking on or looking at the grid, whatever it is. I mean, I may start out looking for quality, but then it starts to just, all the torsos start to look the same. And then it's, top, bottom, side, that, like it kind of quickly gets into to some of that, because again, it's a lot of information to keep up with.
I was gonna say, I don't think there are. Let me make sure, because I want y'all to cuss me out. I don't think there are any disadvantages to using dating apps, unless your job does not want you to be on dating apps.
I'm sure there's I'm sure there are statistics that, I mean, most people I know or who are in relationships, even myself, you've met your partner on a dating app. I think that's just our culture now. Like I know so many people that will literally go out to the bar and then get on a dating app. I'm like, what are you doing in the corner on Grindr? Like, talk to people. Yeah. But that's what happens. I see it all the time.
I think that's a disadvantage, though. I mean, yes, I mean, you're right. I mean, so many of my clients, I've met several folks that I've dated, through dating apps, and it kind of trains us to not interact in real life around people, just like what you're saying. I mean, it can be, sometimes it can be like if I'm at, Blake's or something like that, and I see a cute guy that I like, and I didn't get a chance to speak to them, I might pull up the grid and see, oh, there they are, and then maybe reach out that way if I didn't get a chance to speak to them in person. But it does kind of create a bit of a crutch, I think, in some ways that, because anyway, I think that's a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, and I think realistically, so Lamont mentioned that there are not a lot of disadvantages, and I'm wondering if, like, we begin to talk about the mental health aspect of being like that fatigue that we just mentioned, but being on that site or those sites for an extended period of time and not connecting with someone, or connecting with someone and never meeting them, the endless talking. So I believe that there are some extreme disadvantages to dating apps.
So you mean like if you're experiencing like rejection over and over again, they're like, oh, I'll never find somebody. I'm putting myself out there. It just never happens.
So I'll piggyback on that, Aaron, that, I have a friend, for example, and he's, in my opinion, very good looking guy, has a successful career, is amazingly funny. He's just this, I mean, I can't imagine anyone not wanting to go out with my friend. He's that kind of person. And the stories I hear from him are, got blocked again. Someone, as soon as I showed my face, someone deleted me and blocked me. Or he has rejection after rejection after rejection. And I'm looking at him like, this can't be about you, right? Or there are times when, I tell him like, maybe you were too cute for that person. Maybe they didn't want it rejected by you, or maybe they knew you and they were embarrassed. There's so many other scenarios, but I think we as gay men who have had a lot of rejection and fear and shame, we sort of go to that negative space immediately. Well, it's me, it's my fault. I'm not cute enough. I don't have enough muscles. I'm not this, that, or whatever enough. I think we internalize that very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I always wonder then, like, your friend, if he's so amazing, so gorgeous, like, what pictures, and we're getting to this later, right? I wonder, like, what pictures is he using? What like, did he do the profile? What text is he using? Like, I just wonder.
Well, that's funny you said that, because after our last podcast, I remember you talking about that sort of off air, and I immediately, next time I talked to him, I was like, send me your face pictures. What are you sending? Because something, and he sent me the face pictures. They were fine. There might have been one or two that I was like, okay, I would maybe take this one out, put this one in. But what I've seen, it sort of translates in how he now communicates with people. It's almost like there's a chip on his shoulder. Like there's so many, he'll send me chats where I'm like, you kind of caused this because you went in with this anger and resentment to someone that doesn't have any connection to you. Yeah. And they can feel that energy. So they're turned off, Yeah.
That is a good point, Jeremiah. Because I mean, some of the profiles that I've seen, they start out with this long laundry list of things that they don't like, or things that they're not going to do, or things that, no whites, no bottoms, no femmes, no and it's like, why we're leading with that? Like, that's your best self that you're trying to put forward. Yeah. Even if, do you have to tell me all those things, because now I think you're an asshole. And I'm not particularly interested anyway, even if you have the nicest body I've seen, it is kind of a turnoff, but maybe some people like that. I don't know. But so here's another question that I wanted us to sort of entertain. Well, two questions. Well, I got several questions, but there's a lot of one-word responses on these apps. And that's one of the things that just drives me nuts over the times that I've been on there when I try to put my smiling face forward and say something thoughtful and kind of engage in conversation. And, I get this sort of, sup, nothing, what about you? And it just is it. And if you get 10 of those conversations going on at the same time, it's like, oh my God, my brain cells are dying literally as we speak. Yeah. What is that about, do you think?
I mean, it's a variety of things, Josh. I mean, people could actually legitimately be busy. They can be at work and unfortunately cannot legitimately, give the time and effort and energy. But then there are the other caveats that we can definitely talk about, where someone really and truthfully does not know how to have any type of conversation, even if it is behind a phone or behind a computer screen. Let's be real about that. So it's a variety of things. It's not just, they may be working or busy or whatever. Go ahead. I know you want to say something.
They just trying to smash. That's all they're trying to do. They're not trying to date. If a guy sends you a message, WYD, sup, yo, hey stud. What are some of the other stuff that you hear?
Hey, with 3 Y's on the end.
Looking.
Looking, yeah. Looking.
Yes.
You're just trying to have sex. That's all you're trying to do. And it's probably casual, anonymous sex. And just say that instead of saying you're trying to date. Because if you're trying to date, you can string together a full sentence.
Or trying to network. This ain't LinkedIn.
Someone sent me a sup on LinkedIn, and I was just like, whoa. Like, yeah. And there's no judgment. If you're just trying to hook up, have at it. But if you're trying to date, you need to be able to articulate a full thought, please. And don't be a thought. Well, you can be a thought if you want to be a thought. But, like, we want you to, speak clearly. Yeah.
But I mean, to your point, Lamont, it brings up a very good point. So if we think about one of the disadvantages of the apps, you don't have to learn or know how to communicate clearly. It's instantaneous, like I mentioned before. It's microwave. So sometimes those words will elicit a response that you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's AI now, so sometimes AI can predict language for you now. So I'm just wondering why people just don't rely on AI if they want to communicate more. Especially if there are language barriers, you can use AI to help you communicate with somebody.
So how would you all describe the vibe of the different apps? So you got, of course you got your Grindr, you got your Scruff, you got Jacked. There's A4A. Sniffies, Tinder, Hinge. How would you all sort of just in a one word, one phrase describe each of the platforms?
Well, I think Grindr is just a melting pot. I think you can make it what you want. I think there's sex. I think there's dates. I've seen people just I've used it even to like get information when I'm traveling. Like, what's the coolest gay club in your city? I don't know a lot about Jacked or some of the others you mentioned. I know that Sniffies is very more, from what I've seen, very instantaneous, like looking now, I'm on the DL, or I want anonymous. Like, it's very sort of sex focused. I don't think people are on Sniffies looking for their husband or boyfriend.
Sniffies is definitely maybe I'm telling my age, okay? Do you remember Men for Now? Remember Men for Now?
Man, right?
Yes. Sniffies is the new iteration of Men for Now. Like, it's definitely hook up right now. You may get the name, may not get the face. Like, it's in a park, a gas station, like I think, that wasn't one word, Josh. Sorry.
That's fine. Well, and I got on Scruff recently, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna like really sort of show my face, be very nice, engage, and just kind of see what happens. I've met some awesome guys, I have to say. I mean, yeah, sure, kind of like what you said, Jeremiah. There's sex, there's whatever, but most of that's actually the platform I've had the most pleasant interactions on. And I think there's a bit more, or maybe a bit less rigidity around body and around age and around some of those kind of things, at least on that platform that I've experienced. I've also noticed that in different cities, the platforms have different flavors.
Absolutely.
Like in Atlanta, it's one way versus Chicago versus San Francisco versus out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if that's been y'all's observation as well.
Yeah, whenever I'm working with one of my dating coaching clients and they're like, well, which app should I use? I'm like, it just really depends on your city. It depends on what part of the city you're in that you're located. But it's also like how you're using the app. Like, do you have pictures of yourself? Are you saying what you want? Is the profile completed? It's to Jeremiah's point earlier, like, how are you communicating with people? Is it positively or is it kind of like a little jaded? Like, it's how you're putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And does what you say you want align with your pictures?
Good point.
So you've got your booty hole on the picture and you're saying, I'm looking for my husband and dates.
And are the pictures current? Because sometimes,
right,
like, sir, those pictures are at least 20 years old. And you're like, you haven't looked like that since high school, but you're using that same picture to say this is who you are. Like, I literally saw one of my dating coaching clients. I was like, this is not the person that's in front of me. He's like, oh, I like the picture of myself. You're setting somebody up for failure. You're a handsome guy, but you're setting someone up for failure when you show up on a date.
Right. I mean, the truth is going to come out eventually if you intend to meet the person in person. The truth is going to come out. So it's may as well best to kind of get it. And the other thing is that you don't have to be the hottest guy on the grid. I mean, I think sometimes that the competition sort of is evoked. Nobody is ever going to be the hottest guy in the room, nor are we going to be the not hottest guy in the room. We're all somewhere there in the middle. And I feel like if we just accept that, it just takes some of the pressure off to just be yourself. Because there is going to be somebody out there that finds you hot or is attracted to you. I don't care what kind of body or background or age or whatever. I mean, there's somebody out there for everybody.
One thing I noticed when I was heavier on the apps, like, you would have this conversation with someone and it would be like, okay, we're to the point where actually we're meeting, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And I think there are some people out there that for them, it is sort of a tool for masturbation and fantasy, and then they never have any intention. So who knows what pictures they're sending you? Are they real? Are they fake? Or you never gets there, because for them it was always a fantasy.
There's so many elements though, guys. I mean, think about it. Like, we all talked about earlier in terms of the communication piece. If I have to be in front of you, that means I have to communicate and be able to carry on a conversation and recognize body language and be aware and all those things. Whereas behind this screen or behind whatever, I can be this pseudo me, and that's okay because you accept it.
I see the comment that someone just made about Tinder and Hinge. And when I was on Tinder, I had the same experience. I would match with people, and then it was like they just sit in your little inbox. And it reminded me of that app. I don't know if you guys remember something called Hot or Not, where people would post their pictures and you would give them a rating. To me, that's what Tinder became, was, well, did you think I was cute or not? And you just sit in that little box and no one really initiates anything.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to what we're talking about. Like, if you have 45 conversations going on, even if you find somebody hot and thought and intended to circle back, you got to dig down into the feed a little bit to get back to that conversation. I mean, that can be a little bit overwhelming, just in terms of keeping track of all that information.
That's true.
Let's see, more questions. And do we have any questions from folks watching yet? Or
I do. I can show them.
Okay, yeah, let's see them.
So here is one. This is from Kurt. It says, why do many gay men turn apps into Meet Market. The app should be a great gay meeting opportunity for sincere dates and growth.
I think that's you're meeting someone where they're at. I mean, I think there's been different points in my life I'm looking for a date, and sometimes I'm maybe looking just for fun. And I think you have this conglomeration of everyone in this forum, and everybody wants a little bit of a different thing. So I think you have to sift through a lot of people, and that can get very discouraging. So I see how you perceive it as a meat market, but there are probably people there like you who are looking for growth and dates. But I always remind my patients of this. We are a small part of the population. There's not a lot of us in terms of gay men, and then, we sort of go to these bigger cities where we have a bigger dating pool. But even then, we're sort of segregating ourselves in a way. Well, I'm a total top. I only date total bottoms, or, I'm only into feminine guys, or I'm only into masculine guys. Even within our community, we're really dicing it up into these sort of subcultures of people. So we're starting here, and then we're even more dicing it into smaller groups. So our dating pool really isn't that big.
Mm-hmm.
I also, and again, don't fight me for this, straight men do the same thing with all the other dating apps as well. Mm-hmm. They turn it into Meat Market or Vagina Market as well. So I don't think we can just say this is isolated to gay men when it comes to any dating app or social media as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Kurt's comment reminds me of something that I talk about when I'm working. I do see hetero couples every now and then in my practice. But one of the things that I notice, or one of the things I talk about, especially when we're talking about sex and desire, is that, men or people that have higher levels of testosterone, maybe I should say that, or people with penises, typically are more visually stimulated versus folks with little higher levels of estrogen or with vaginas, et cetera, are more stimulated by like erotica or and I think part of that has to do with, and I hate to use male-female language, but because I know that can be a little complicated, but for those who are visually stimulated, porn, the online apps, the visual, that's I think that kind of is why it gets turned into a meat market, because we are kind of stimulated visually and it turns us on, versus others, might be stimulated more by a narrative or by the fuller picture of the scene, that kind of thing. So I don't know if that resonates or not, or if y'all would add to that.
Yeah, I'm going to actually go back to something that Lamont said in terms of being in a smaller city and then possibly coming to a bigger city. So when we're, in a smaller city, we haven't experienced a lot of things and so on and so forth. When we come to a bigger city, the first thing that we want to do is explore. And oftentimes we want to explore sexually. And so that is huge for us. So that's why a ton of people turn apps into meat markets, because we're looking to explore as opposed to what we couldn't do when we were in those smaller towns or cities or states.
Yeah, I love it. Here's some more questions. Let's see. Daniel says choosing the right pictures is super important. It's super important when you're setting up your profile on apps. So what kind of pictures should you steer clear of, and what pictures are the best ones to use?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lamont, you're the expert on this.
Right. Good question. So I pay people for this, but I will give this to you all for free just because you're watching. But don't forget to click the like and share.
Or click the like first, and then we'll give you the information.
So if I am wanting to date you, I need to see where I fit into your life. Your pictures should show me what we're going to be doing for fun. If you like bike riding, hiking, some amazing wine, traveling, those are the type of pictures that you should post on your dating profile. They should be clear. They should be current. Clear meaning no weird angles, nothing that's fuzzy. Current within the last 3 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. You can push it maybe 8 months, but then it's time to update that picture so that people can see what you look like. And it is okay to have a head to toe, because you can't date someone just from neck up on those pictures.
Or just from here to here either.
Oh, and no torso. Like if you want to show your gym body off, great, but we still need to see it all connecting together as well.
Say it for the people in the back.
Right. Like I know you have amazing pectorials, but can we see it attached to a neck and a head, please? Like, please.
So I have a friend, oddly enough, who loves blank profiles. He's like, it's like what's behind door number 1? It could be bad, but it could also be really fun and hot.
If you're looking for anonymous sex, maybe sure, that's a whole glory hole dating experience, right? Or hookup. But if you're trying to find like meaningful like relationship, your husband, a partner, I think guys want to actually see what someone looks like, even something.
Yeah. So maybe that kind of ties into what Daniel's saying here is like, it depends on what it is that you are on there for.
Yeah.
Because, to your friend's point, Jeremiah, maybe no profile or something very vague is enticing to certain folks that might reel them in, whereas others who, might be looking for a more holistic experience, even if it is just sex, might need a bit more information. And for the what is written and also the pictures to kind of be in alignment with each other, and run it past a friend or two. We all have a little social committee of people that are our cheerleaders in life. Hopefully, run it past a couple folks and say, hey, just how does this look, or what are your thoughts about this? So that we're getting a couple extra pairs of eyes on it before putting it out in front of the world.
And I think maybe Jeremiah, I don't know what you think about this, but maybe a reason why some people don't use a picture is they might want to connect more on something that's not physically related, and they want to connect more on the conversation, the sound of their voice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, you first.
No, I was just gonna say I think there's certainly those people, but I also think in our community we have a lot of people who don't want to be seen on these apps, whether they're married, they have a partner, maybe they're discreet because they're a politician or a professional, and it's just there's a lot of that anonymity. And I think depending on your app, and then what Josh said too, like I think you want to put out what you're trying to get. So if you're wanting just that anonymous experience, maybe you have a torso pic rather than the full face. But if you're on a dating profile like Tinder, I think of course then you should be presenting your full self in a dating capacity.
Yeah, and I think we should, embrace, accept. If you're looking for something that's casual, do it the best way you can, right?
Right.
Well, to Josh's point earlier, men are visual creatures. So how do we, like get our testosterone pumping, get our heart racing, get other things racing, if we can't see you?
Yeah.
Here's another question. This will be interesting. It's a random identity, of course, the person who wrote this. How ironic. It says, I wish the race ethnicity filter weren't removed. I get premise to promote inclusivity, but the apps can be anything but that.
I get this in a way. I think he's talking about Grindr. That a few years ago or 5 years ago, they used to have, I think, ethnic filters. I'm not sure exactly, but they did remove that, and there was a lot of controversy surrounding that. And I think I understand what this person is saying, that there's filters for a lot of other things, or people are going ahead and putting their preferences out there. There's so many people in Grindr, you can go right now, and there's so many people that will only want a trans male or a trans female. That's not a filter. People that only want someone who's feminine. So I see there's a fine balance between being maybe politically correct and also promoting inclusivity, but also offering a service that allows people to really filter and get what they want. Because at the end of the day, that's what they want.
Yep.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all the questions we have. I know we did have some dating. We have some dating profiles that I would love for you all to take a look at for a quick second, and give me a second as I try to work my IT skills and remove something. But we all
like you put up that looks like Jay and Wilson. You put up a question from that person. Do you think it's harder for someone to find a commit? And why I'm going to read this while you're doing that, Lamont. Do you think it's harder for someone to find a committed relationship if they have an active sex life?
I'll speak on that one because I am someone who had a very active sex life and then got into a committed relationship. No, as long as you're intentional.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. As long as you're
intentional about what?
Intentional about changing or trying to go from having an active sex life to being in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. So it actually depends on your intentionality. And so you can make, obviously, the call to be able to do that.
And my hope and prayer would be that you have an active sex life in the context of your relationship also.
Good point.
that doesn't stop when you make a commitment to somebody, my hope.
Good point.
All right, so we have some dating profiles that I'm going to place on the screen. I would like all of us to, chime in on some of them. Like, what do you like about the dating profiles? What do you hate about them? What are some things you might modify? And if you're watching, you all can give some input as well. So
if it happens to be your profile that we're putting up, feel free to also, tell us why you did that. We took the pictures out though, thankfully. So.
All right, let me know if you all can see this one.
Yeah.
So we see a guy who has it. They're 44. They're about. They were online 19 minutes ago and a couple feet away. So there's somebody real close. And you can see their tags or BBB. What's BB stand for?
Bareback.
Bareback.
Oh, bareback. Beards, bondage, dom, gear, hung, kink, military, rough, watching, 6'2", 190 pounds, muscular. It looks like a cisgender man. Daddy love leather, rugged. They're white. And they're looking for hookups.
I mean, they're pretty clear. I mean, they don't give a whole lot of narrative about, what's important to them. I mean, it seems, they're looking for hookup and this is what they're into. And at least it's clear. And I think there was a picture that kind of aligned. It wasn't that aligned with this as well. But I can't tell, when they do the tags, I don't know if that's what they're looking for or what they themselves do, or maybe it's both. I'm not sure.
I think it typically means that's how you describe yourself or something you're into.
Yeah.
I want to know if you were top or a bottom when you verse. Like what it's something's missing for me here. What are we doing once I get over there is the question. Yeah. Do I need to prepare?
Well, he's Dom, so maybe he's a Dom bottom, maybe he's a Dom top.
Well, it looks like you're getting tied up if you go over there. That's at least one thing you can expect.
Yeah, I couldn't make it to the podcast. I got tied up. This profile is giving me Dom, Daddy, top energy.
Dom, Daddy energy. Okay. Here's another one.
Oh, go ahead. No, you're fine. You're fine. No problem. Go ahead.
What do you think of this one, Aaron? Take a look at it. Go ahead and read what they're into, please.
Professional creative here. Just here for chat, friends, fun, into, what is that?
Lots.
Okay. Into lots, from vanilla to
more kinky.
Okay. I can't read that. 420, always a good time, yada, yada. Face pics available, just not on display. 5'10", 165, versatile. Man, clean cut, daddy discreet.
You missed the always down for hot bait, buds, poppers are a plus.
Listen, that shit is small.
Take your glasses off, Aaron.
Right,
There's
like,
one thing
hell.
that's not on there is the age, and I'm always wondering when someone doesn't put an age. And now that I'm in my 40s, I get that pressure myself. I'm like, am I really 41? Am I 39 and holding? So, people discriminate on age alone. They're like 30 and below, or only over 35. Like, it goes both ways. So I think putting those things out there is okay, but also like knowing you might be missing something that you could have really liked.
Yeah.
Let's look at another one. Let's see.
All right, there we go.
All right, big dick top.
That's what y'all want.
Oh, he's got
I'm
like
confused by this because it says top and then it says versatile. So
Yeah,
giving
that's
mixed
true.
messages.
getting a mixed signal here. Big dick top.
Well, he can be someone who loves getting or giving oral and not receiving penetration. So
That's true.
don't know.
The word top kind of gives me a different impression, though.
So let's talk about the racial preference here, right? No white men. How do you guys feel about that?
So here's my thing. My thing with dating apps, you should say what you're looking for, right? It like in the positive statement, like looking for men of color, looking for white men. Like I think it's, for me, I think it's fine if I see a white man say, I'm looking for white men. It does not offend me. It doesn't. Like, you are saving everybody time if that's what your strong preference is. If you're a little open, then don't put a racial or ethnicity preference there.
Or even name that you're open to. I mean, I think that sometimes that, because I do find race does matter in terms of dating and attraction. Maybe not. Maybe it matters more to some than to others. But yeah, I mean, I that resonates with me, Lamont, in terms of say what you're for and say what you're into. Like this feels a bit, kind of, no white, I'm just here. I didn't do anything. Like what?
But let's think about this though, guys. Let's think about this. No white men. My dick is big, covering in chocolate. So he's into kink. He's into covering in chocolate. That might be kinky. Yeah.
I missed that.
I was wondering about that. I don't know if it was like a grammatical error or is it him. So does he like, oh Lord, today? People say they like it natural.
True.
That's the new thing, I guess, where they're like, they don't fully like douche. They're just like, you're playing Russian roulette. If it happens, it happens. And some people might be into that type of kink where they like it natural and they like a little chocolate on there. Yeah.
Or he's into food. I mean.
Oh, you think?
And see, I walked away with a whole different impression of what he meant. Like, I thought, okay, he's black. He's referring to his black dick as chocolate. I thought that's kind of what we were thinking there.
Well, Aaron's reading something else. That's why it's okay to use commas and periods, people, so we know what you're talking about. Okay?
Absolutely.
Punctuation and spelling matter.
The takeaway message from this is talk in the positive light instead of saying, no, talk about what you want. I think it comes across better. It's not as harsh. And I think it's just more palatable.
Yeah, and I think it creates a safer environment and a more open experience on the dating app where people are more, open to using it. I got another one. Let's see.
Oh gosh.
Oh, this is a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Who wants to take this one?
Well, this person got a little fickle, a little easily offended, and I think this is something that we see a lot on apps. Also, is that in addition to the one-word responses, you get folks that kind of, in the absence of a response, will create an entire narrative in their mind about what that means. So in this case, somebody didn't respond within 30 seconds, And all of a sudden we have a whole narrative about, I don't cater to pick collectors who ghost in the middle of a conversation, expect me to resume 40 minutes later, arrogant troll. I mean, that's a lot to extract from, hey, got any picks? Like all of a sudden we're talking about trolls and ghosting, and like, that's a lot.
Yeah. This is one of those situations where I think if you don't have some level of self-confidence or some just self-awareness, these things can actually really hurt you. And someone's making this judgment and telling you, you're not cute, you're not important, you're an arrogant troll. It's just a lot of mean, hurtful things. So, if I'm getting this message, I'm obviously saying, okay, well, this wasn't about me. This is obviously somebody has something deeper going on that I don't have time for anyway. So,
yeah.
And it looks like this person initiated a compliment to him by saying like, hey, sexy pic, and sent his picture, and it went left.
Yeah. He needs to see Josh on Tuesdays at 7:00. I mean, goodness.
Yes, I'd have some limited availability.
Let's see. Here's our final one, and this is from Jack. So we were being diverse in the different apps. So this one, their tagline is, I guess, hit me up. They're 31, single, South Asian. Their height, their weight. They put that they're gay. Okay, they're twink, discreet, what they're into, jocks, geeks, twinks. I love how we have all these categories that fall into gay men. You may need a dictionary to figure it out. But he says he's open to relationships, random play, no strings attached, for dates. So he's like, I'm here for all of it, the whole gambit. Pronouns are there, sexual preferences are there. There's even some, safer sex practices that the person is listing. They use condoms or PrEP. And they're okay with you sending them nudes. And they even put what type of work they do there.
But Lamont, I'm curious about something, and this is a really good point that I think we should bring up. If you guys look at, it says online now, 394 miles away. Like, is that something that, I don't know, we take a look at? Because when I was on the app a while back, I don't particularly chat with folks who are not 3 to 4 miles away. Yes, you can call that a Midtown snob or, ITP snob or whatever, but realistically, what is that doing for us?
Yeah. I mean, they might be traveling, locally soon, or they're sick and tired of whoever's in their town, or, I mean, during COVID, I kind of toured the world on the apps just to talk to people.
Especially if you were like a flight attendant or somebody who travels often, you're like, oh yeah, you can live wherever you want. Like, I'll get on a plane and go meet a guy. Or if you're planning to go to a city, you look in that city and then you.
And some of the apps have that feature where you can put yourself in that city, but it'll indicate with like a plane or something indicates you're traveling there soon, or you have plans to travel. And I think that's helpful. I was on Grindr 5 months ago because I'm going to Spain this summer, and I was like trying to get information about their pride, and had some really great conversations, and people were so helpful. Just, I wasn't trying to like hook up with them or date. It was just literally, hey, there's so many options for pride this summer. Like, what do you like? And I talked to a lot of different people and got a lot of different advice, and I used it in that way, and it was very helpful.
But I love this profile. Only thing I would add is tell me more about who you are, like what you do for fun, what you're a little bit more in depth. You like guys who are silly, outgoing. You have an age range you're preferring. If you're using this for dating, I would just want a little bit more content about who you are and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good little spread. One question that I think one of us posted, I wanted to come back to. How do you handle rejection on dating apps? I think that's an important question to engage, because I can speak for myself. Early on, when I kind of first got on the apps, and I was really into somebody or whatever, and they, either blocked me or said something ugly, or, we decided to meet and then they said they weren't interested, like it would really take a toll on my self-esteem. I saw somebody else posted on Instagram, that sometimes the apps can really be detrimental to one's self-esteem. I've got clients that, have, struggle with their weight or have body image issues, and, just like any other, like on Facebook in the political world, you see such ugly comments about stuff. And I think people feel much freer to make some, comments that they hopefully wouldn't make to somebody's face, but can really hurt. But I'm curious just, how you all have handled rejection, or how you might invite folks to think about it or frame it. When inevitably, if you're talking to folks, not everybody's going to be interested. I mean, it's kind of par for the course.
I think that goes across the board. And I try to remind friends about this, and patients, and even myself at times, like, you can be this really attractive person, but guess what? You might not be this person's cup of tea. And for whatever reason, like I said earlier, I have my attractive friend and he gets all this rejection and he internalizes it. And I'm like, you ever thought about that? Sometimes it might be that you might be too cute for them, and they don't want to put themselves in a situation where they're going to get rejected. And let's be honest, some of us in our community just want to be mean to other people. It's the truth. There's a lot of hurt, and hurt people want to hurt other people, and they want to bring you down. And this is a nice little anonymous way to do it. And I think that happens a lot.
Yeah. So I think sometimes even when I was dating, I'm like, oh my goodness, why can't he see that I'm a good match? Right? Or that I'm really into him. There's probably something that he saw in me that he was like, we're not a good fit. That he didn't actually feel like we were compatible. And I guess I'm happy that the other person could see that, because I would hate to try to be in a relationship with this person 6, 8 months, 12 months, and then for us to find out that this is going nowhere because we weren't able to see that we weren't compatible from the beginning. So if you can, see the future and see that I'm not a good fit for you, then go ahead and reject me, because I think it's worth it.
The great Paulo Coelho says this. He says, sometimes not getting what you want is a stroke of genius.
Man's rejection is God's protection.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I think we got all of our questions. You all, this is our first episode really for Four Play Podcast. Great job. So listen, if you all have not watched our podcast, well, we did it on Instagram one time before.
Twice.
Definitely. Oh, twice. We did twice. Thank you. Like, get it together, Lamont. Make sure you all follow and subscribe to the Four Play Podcast YouTube channel. I did put the link to the podcast in the chat, because some of you may be watching on the Gay Dating Coach channel. I'm not always going to be using this one, so make sure you're following the Four Play Podcast so that you can see the different conversations that we're going to be having, see how our friendships evolve, and just the different topics.
Yeah, and you see our platforms under each of our names. I'd love for you to follow all of us individually and be part of our online community as well.
All right. Well, listen, you all, congratulations, Josh, Aaron, and Jeremiah. Good job. And I think are we done?
Yeah, I think we're done. I don't see any other comments or questions. And the other thing I'd like to hear from folks, if there's particular topics you'd like to hear from, hear a conversation about, we've got a list of different topics we're going to cover. One of the, I think, upcoming conversations we want to have is about body image. Such a difficult topic, I think, for gay men who have sex with men, women also, but we're talking about sort of this particular community. A lot of body image issues out there, and so that's a conversation I think would be important for us to have. We might return back to the topping and bottoming conversation what are some of the other topics that we talked about? I can't remember. We had a
that
list.
we're planning to talk about.
Yeah, that we just kind of were brainstorming a little bit about some of the different conversations.
Can't remember now.
I have no idea.
I got a list.
Yeah,
We'd love to hear from those watching. You know, if there's some particular topics you'd like to hear about, we'd love to entertain that.
All right. Well, thank you all so much, and try to enjoy your evening. Good night.
Thanks, guys. See you next month.